Introducing the 2026 USA Women's World Cup qualifying team. And on the graphic, you have Aaliyah Boston. Where is Caitlin Clark? Where's the moneymaker? Where's the needle mover? Where's the name that everybody knows? Where's the name that draws the most viewership? Where's the name that draws the most attention?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a very uncomfortable conversation about what's happening behind the closed doors of USA basketball. This isn't just incompetence. It isn't a simple marketing misstep. This is a deliberate, calculated, and malicious campaign of erasure. For 2 years, the old guard of women's basketball, the gatekeepers, the legends, the inner circle led by the influence of Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi, tried to slow down Caitlin Clark's unstoppable rise. They kept her off the 2024 Olympic team and succeeded. They tried to physically intimidate her in the WNBA and failed. They attempted to erase her from the media narrative and failed again. Now, in 2026, they've deployed a new tactic, the eraser. The official promotional graphic for the 2026 World Cup qualifying team has dropped. The roster officially includes Caitlin Clark, but look at the poster. Who's front and center? Aaliyah Boston, Chelsea Gray, Rhyne Howard, and Caitlin Clark? Gone. The most famous basketball player on the planet, the woman who has single-handedly reshaped the economics of the sport, has been scrubbed from her own national team's marketing.
Not on the starting lineup. When you realize her own coach isn't even advocating her to be on the starting lineup. Newsflash. You think, let's take a look. Hey, Stephanie, who do you think we should go with to start? Caitlin Clark, the player on your team, the generational talent, or Chelsea Gray? You look at me with a straight face and tell me Stephanie White's going to pick Caitlin Clark. And I'll look back at you and tell you you're lying. She's going to say, oh, Chelsea Gray, oh.
This is where the shadow of Sue Bird looms large. You might say, Sue Bird is retired. What does she have to do with this? You have to understand how power works in this ecosystem. Sue Bird is the godmother of the WNBA, the shadow commissioner. She sets the culture. She sets the tone. And the tone over the past 2 years has been clear: resentment. If Sue Bird wanted Caitlin Clark to be the face of USA basketball, she would be front and center on that poster. If Bird and Taurasi had embraced the new era, we would have seen a passing of the torch. Instead, what we're witnessing is a hoarding of it. By refusing to market Caitlin and keeping her out of the spotlight, the establishment is sending a crystal-clear message to fans. This isn't her team. It's still ours. She's just a guest. It's a passive-aggressive power play designed to humble the superstar, a reminder that no matter how many jerseys she sells, she remains beneath the hierarchy that Sue Bird built.
Today, Team USA made a massive mistake in 2024, failing to capitalize on the freight train that was Caitlin Clark.
Let's talk about the financial insanity of this decision, because here, the sabotage becomes undeniable. The host of the source video asks the million-dollar question: where's the moneymaker? Imagine the NBA promoting the 1992 Dream Team and leaving Michael Jordan off the poster to highlight Chris Mullin instead. That alone would get an entire marketing department fired. It's business. USA Basketball may be a nonprofit, but it depends on interest, sponsorships, and viewership. Caitlin Clark is a literal golden goose, a player who brings millions of eyeballs just by stepping on the court. And yet, they hide her. They put Rhyne Howard, a fantastic player, but someone with zero mainstream recognition, front and center instead. That is not a mistake. That is a choice. Someone in a meeting room decided, we don't want this to be about Caitlin. Why? Because highlighting Caitlin threatens the legacy of the old guard. Ego over economics. They'd rather control a small pie than share a massive one where Caitlin is the main ingredient. It gets worse. The host predicts, and I agree, that Caitlin Clark will not start for this team. They plan to bring her off the bench, while starting Chelsea Gray, the veteran, the program loyalist, the friend of the old guard. Chelsea Gray is a legend. No one disputes that. But in 2026, Caitlin Clark is the best point guard in the world. Bench her? That's an insult to the game itself. Even the coaching staff seems complicit. Stephanie White, Caitlin's WNBA coach, is an assistant here. The host calls her old guard certified. Even her own coach might be part of this humbling ritual. These qualifying games in Puerto Rico, they aren't about showcasing Caitlin. They're about hazing her, making her sit, making her watch, making her feel small, all while wearing the red, white, and blue, hiding petty jealousy behind a mask of patriotism and team chemistry.
Basketball also reveals that Breanna Stewart will join the basketball women's national team in Miami for training camp March 7th through 8th. So she was announced on the roster, but she will be joining them for training camp March 7th through the 8th.
And we have to address the ghost haunting training camp. A detail in the press release should infuriate every Caitlin Clark fan. Breanna Stewart, who isn't on the roster, isn't playing in the games, is showing up in Miami for training camp. Why? To coach? To cheer? No. She's there to police. She's the enforcer of the old guard culture, making sure the team doesn't become the Caitlin show. It's surveillance. The message is clear. The establishment doesn't trust the new generation, Caitlin, Paige, Buckers, Angel Reese, to run the ship. They're sending in a minder to keep them in line. It's condescending. It reinforces the idea that Caitlin isn't a leader. She's a child under the supervision of real legends.